Look at that, a little taste of winter-like wonderland in the middle of summer. This video from Turner Valley this afternoon. More severe weather whips through parts of the province, including Airdre, right here in Calgary. Is it the last of it for a while? We'll find out from Carla ahead.
Summer storm in our region tonight. It's a big one, causing a lot of damage. It blew in very quickly. The winds picked up and the temperature dropped, turning a beautiful sunny sky into a dark and dangerous one. Look at this time lapse. There was rain and hail, but the weather warning is now over. There's a lot of damage, though, and the cleanup after this storm is just beginning.
Now let's check in with our meteorologist, Danielle Savoni, for more on what happened. Danielle, clearly a powerful storm blowing through.
Yeah, Christina, and here's what it looks like just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. And you can see this. This is what we call a hook echo. Meteorologists look at this because it actually suggests rotation. Now keep in mind, in this area near Crossiron Mills Mall, there were actually reports of a tornado in this. Of course,
the aftermath of a terrifying storm.
I was trying to run for cover, but it was too late.
A family in Clooney huddles together, surviving a night like no other.
Now from Global Calgary, the News Hour with Gord Gillies and Linda Olson.
Good evening. It had a little of that deja vu feeling. Less than 48 hours after the last summer storm slammed Calgary, another doozy blew in. That hail coming down north of Cochrane this afternoon. The storm there just before 3 p.m. Here in Calgary, a number of traffic lights were knocked out, making things hectic for police and frustrating for the drive home. The strong wind brought a flood of calls into 911, about 130 sent off to the fire department. Crews were dispatched for, among many things, several cases of downed power lines. At the height of the storm, nearly every fire truck was on the road helping out. Other calls coming in. Trees uprooted or blown over by violent wind gusts. The sudden storm tossing all kinds of debris around, making short work of those garbage and recycling bins. Now to the north, this video taken along Highway 2 just when the storm hit hardest. The rain so intense, many drivers were forced to pull over. So much fell so fast, flooding was reported in a number of locations. Of course, it's been a very busy afternoon for emergency crews as they respond to all sorts of calls. One of the more serious coming from downtown Calgary. The News Hour's Nancy Hicks joins us from 7th Street and 5th. Nancy, some window washers about 20 stories up when it all blew in.
The call came in at around 3 o'clock this afternoon, right when the storm was kind of taking off. Fire, police, and EMS all responding to this area in downtown because some window washers were stranded up high on this building. They were actually on a swing stage when the storm hit. Apparently the strong winds were a big concern and they were very fearful. So the two window washers up on that stage actually broke a window out themselves and they were able to get into the building to safety. They were very shaken up, but fortunately not seriously hurt. Fire department will still be taking the swing stage down once the window has been replaced later on tonight.
All right, thanks, Nancy. Well, here's a time lapse of what it looked like as it all blew through. It came in and left in a hurry. Carla Balzac has been tracking the trouble. Are we out of the woods?
Summer storm in our region tonight. It's a big one, causing a lot of damage. It blew in very quickly. The winds picked up and the temperature dropped, turning a beautiful sunny sky into a dark and dangerous one. Look at this time lapse. There was rain and hail, but the weather warning is now over. There's a lot of damage, though, and the cleanup after this storm is just beginning. Now take a look at this video. This is shot on Deerfoot Trail. It's shot from inside a car coming up on the 32nd Avenue exit, and you can see the overhead sign bouncing wildly in the wind. The traffic begins to slow as drivers start to take in just how dangerous this is, and then it happens. The sign snaps just as our videographer comes up beneath it. Fortunately, there are no reports of injury. Bridget Brown is also live tonight. She's in the city's northeast. So, Bridget, what other problems has this storm caused?
Well, Tara, the storm blew in around 3 p.m. and for the second time this week, it brought gusts of extreme wind and sheets of hail to areas like Calgary, Airdre, Cochrane, Olds, which were all under under a thunderstorm warning, rather. Airdre looked like it had been hit by a summer snowstorm with piles of hail alongside the road. The storm hit a substation, and that actually caused tens of thousands of people to lose power in Airdre, Balzac, Siksika and Airdre. Now, most people got their power back around 4 p.m. this afternoon, but a few are still waiting, and that happened and led to some traffic chaos with power being out to street lights in the area as well. And the rain actually caused some intersections to be flooded. Some areas still have flooded intersections, so there are some traffic problems north of the city as well. Meanwhile, in Calgary, downed trees are causing power problems. NMAX is telling us there are pockets of power outages in all four quadrants of the city. They're warning people, if you see downed power lines, to call NMAX's emergency number. They're still trying to tally up the damage, said arborists out to those areas where branches have caused power outages, and they're saying that some of those power lines may be live, so to stay away from the downed power lines, call those emergency numbers, and they don't have an estimate right now with exactly when the power is going to be back on. Tara?
That means much of Calgary was cleaning up tonight. Our night reporter Kyle Bax has been following the story through the evening and brings us the latest.
This is how it all began. The community of Airdre, pounded by hail and later heavy rain. The storm then rolled into Calgary, covering the city in dark clouds. The wind and rain creating widespread damage. 911 phone lines filled up, over 130 calls in just 90 minutes.
Basically, a lot of them were just directly weather related to the trees blowing down, taking down power lines, blocking streets.
It all happened so quickly, these window washers couldn't react fast enough, but were eventually able to escape being stranded in midair. Elsewhere, winds snapped a window at this high-rise, sending debris to the ground. And many Calgarians returned home from work to begin the cleanup in their backyards.
The wind was so strong and it was hailing. I come out here and I thought, oh my God.
Electricity was knocked out in various parts of the city, and NMAX says most areas have been restored, but has no timeline for when all the cleanup and repairs will be finished. Even city green spaces took a hit from the storm. Branches are snapped off throughout the area, yet another sign of the storm's damage. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
Now let's check in with our meteorologist, Danielle Savoni, for more on what happened. Danielle, clearly a powerful storm blowing through.
Yeah, Christina, and here's what it looked like on the radar. We had a cold front swipe through, and that actually provided the lift we needed for this line of storms to develop. So I want to backtrack the radar for a moment and show you 2 o'clock this afternoon, and you can see this cell that moved through Airdre at that point. This provided the hail, the huge downpour, the strong wind gusts. Also at this point you can see the storm that was rolling towards Calgary. Let me advance this to just after 2 o'clock this afternoon, and you can see this. This is what we call a hook echo. Meteorologists look at this because it actually suggests rotation. Now keep in mind, in this area near Cross Iron Mills Mall, there were actually reports of a tornado in this. Of course, this is unconfirmed and still has to be confirmed by Environment Canada. And then you can see on the radar what this cell looked like as it tracked into Calgary, where we had hail, huge downpours, and gusts up to about 100 km in the city. I'll be back with your forecast coming up, Christina.
Thanks, Danielle.
CTV News with Ian White and Alyssa Carpenter.
Good afternoon. It came in fast and furious, and it had emergency crews across Calgary and area scrambling.
Today, the cleanup after yet another severe summer storm leaves behind a path of destruction. No one was injured, but there were some serious close calls. Bill McFarland has the story.
It didn't last long, but all around Calgary, communities felt the wrath of a serious summer storm. In Airdre, the storm dumped hail, piling up in the streets like snowbanks. Power outages were reported all over Calgary and as far north as Siksika and Airdre. The onset was sudden and violent, winds multiplying in force from 10 to 95 kilometers an hour in just a few short minutes. Calgary Fire Department alone responded to 130 calls in a 90-minute span. The extreme winds toppled trees onto homes and flipped this semi-trailer on Barlow Trail deep in the southeast. But for two window washers on 5th Avenue Southwest, the storm nearly turned deadly.
The storm came up quickly on them, and they were put into a position where they needed to be rescued.
After the latest round in a summer of wild weather, it almost makes you wonder, what's next? Bill McFarland, CTV News, Calgary.
RCMP is reporting that the storm caused extensive crop damage to the east of Calgary.
Now from Global Calgary, the News Hour with Gord Gillies and Linda Olson.
Good evening. It's remarkable nobody was seriously hurt. Brutal wind, pelting rain, and pounding hail tearing across Gleichen and Clooney yesterday during that intense summer storm. A home on the Siksika Reserve feeling the brunt of it. As a family huddled together in fear, in a blink of an eye, the roof over their heads was gone. Jill Croteau reports.
In less than 5 seconds, it just happened so quick.
An eerie reminder coated in drywall dust, marking the moment all chaos erupted.
And all of a sudden, it's like there was a big roar, and then it's like you blink your eyes, and all of a sudden.
It's nothing short of overwhelming as they try to comprehend what's happened to their home.
It's pretty hard to live through something like this. I never thought it would ever happen to my family.
Tough to feel lucky when you see something as unreal as this, but the truth is, these people feel blessed to have survived the storm together.
My grandson was laying on here on the couch. I could feel the wind like pick me up. I could feel my knee getting off the floor. So I grabbed him. I told him, my boy, hang on to Grandpa. So he grabbed onto my arm, my neck, and I grabbed onto the couch underneath. And I held on until I could feel my knee touching the floor again.
I just heard him say, everybody downstairs. And just when I was going to get up and jump up, and I just heard a big rumbling sound. But I was trying to run for cover, but it was too late. Everything just blew over. It was scary.
She uses her body to shield her niece from the debris of the caved-in roof.
I just went right down to the floor. I just covered her up.
As they scramble to protect the little ones, another seeks shelter under the bathroom sink, huddling in the cupboard as the roof starts to rip.
You see it on TVs and everything. I never think you'd live through it.
People living in the nearby hamlet of Gleichen are putting yards back together after getting a beating from rain, wind, and hail.
You had to run for cover. There's silos that are ripped out that traveled, a mile down the road through fields. Downtown was, flooded out. It was pretty rough.
Gardens are nearly obliterated by the storm.
Was like a paradise. As you see, now is terrible. And that was only 15 minutes. Look at our yard.
Cleaning up from the aftermath is one thing, but the lingering memories will be hard to shake.
I don't want to remember it, but it's not going to go away in your head. This is the way it is. So all we can do is just pick up the pieces and go on.
It's times like this that force a new perspective. With their home destroyed, only one thing matters.
We all came out of this alive.
On the Siksika Nation, Jill Croteau, Global News.
Now, meteorologists have not determined if it was a tornado, but winds were reported to be gusting to 100 kilometers an hour. The storm, of course, was far-reaching, leaving many with a lot of cleaning up to do, including right here in Calgary and surrounding communities. This is more incredible video sent in from a storm chaser in Cochrane. The wind here, also the big story, blowing like a hurricane. Visibility reduced to almost zero. And something noticeably absent along southbound Deerfoot Trail today, the signs for the 32nd Avenue turnoff all down. It follows that close call during last night's windstorm. The signs violently bouncing around before the 32nd Avenue plummets to the ground. Fortunately, no one was hurt. And this incredible video has gone viral. How it was shot up for debate, hopefully not distracted driving. And no word yet on when those sign repairs will be done.